President of the United States, referring to him as racist, given what he may or may not have said behind closed doors. Let's bring in a Republican senator from Kentucky. Rand Paul joins us right now from Bowling Green. Senator, reportedly behind closed doors on Thursday, the president said something about Haiti and some other countries. And he has since been accused of being racist because of those comments. Tell us what the president, then businessman Donald Trump, did for your organization regarding Haiti a couple of years ago.
You know, all these crazy over-the-top criticisms or accusations against the president don't fit with the president that I know. When I went to Haiti a few years ago, I went on a medical mission trip, and we did cataract surgery for about 200 people who were largely blind before their surgery. I asked for donations before I went on the trip, and one of them was to businessman Donald J. Trump, who not only helped with the trip to Haiti, but also helped with a previous trip that we took to Central America. So really, I think it doesn't do anybody any good. It's, you know, there's a name for this. It's called ad hominem. It's attacking the person. And so nobody wants to be called a racist. Yesterday, because I mentioned these medical mission trips on a Sunday morning program, Twitter was filled with hatred towards me, wishing me violence. I'll bet you I read 24 tweets wishing me violence. I read a half a dozen, maybe couple dozen more calling me a racist. And so it really doesn't make the dialogue any better in our country. In fact, you know, I think it makes it more likely for there to be violence out there if we're talking about how we hate each other, when in fact it's not really true.
Senator, a couple of things I think are significant. Number one, just ironic, the reason why people thought Donald Trump would be such a strong presidential candidate is because so many minorities, he rated so high with minorities, especially African Americans, when he was in the private sector and when he was host of The Apprentice. That seemed to have switched when he came out and officially became a Republican. But where we go from here, I think, is key. What do you think happens? The blow up on Thursday, the reaction on Friday, the weekend people just vent. So we got till Friday to fund the government. What do you hear could happen? How does this play out?
You know, I think the immigration debate is sort of separate, hopefully, from funding of the government. But that's a question. Will the Democrats hold up spending and funding of the government over this issue? I've always still thought immigration was going to be settled separate from the spending issue. I still think it will be and should be. I also think that it depends on Democrats really compromising on this. I've seen the immigration debate for 6 or 7 years that I've been in Washington as really being sabotaged by Democrats because they've been unwilling to compromise. They pass and they say we want what we want. And I've been to their leadership and I said, look, I'm willing to compromise on the DACA, on these children who came here with their parents but did actually come here illegally. I'm willing to compromise on that. But we have to have rules that we do enforce. And if they're willing to have new rules, new border security, ending chain migration, having a more merit-based system to bring people into this country, more work-based system, I'm all for that. But if they're not willing to compromise, they're going to sabotage it themselves.
Well, isn't that what all this racist talk is about? Not coming to a deal, grandstanding, politicizing, racializing the issues so that they don't get a deal. Because if you really wanted one, the framework was set up in that meeting last week on Tuesday that was televised. Senator?
Well, the thing is that, you know, we can have disagreements based on policy, but once we make it attacking the person and calling a person a racist, it kind of destroys the dialogue. And if Democrats only care about destroying the dialogue and care about playing the race card in the election of 2020, and we're going to do this for 3 more years now, I think the people would rather us have a civil discussion, have some disagreements, have honest debates. Look, I have honestly debated the president. I've opposed some of his appointments. I've opposed overreach on FISA and other intelligence. And so I have honest disagreements with the president. But I think calling him names and letting it degenerate to the schoolyard stuff doesn't do anybody any good.
Yeah. Senator, you just mentioned FISA. Intel chair over in the House, Devin Nunes, says that he has seen with his own 2 eyes that apparently the FBI and the Department of Justice abused the FISA rules. And he has not really specified exactly how, but nonetheless, this is one of the things that he's worried about. It's one of the things that you're worried about, how our government spies on Americans.
Yeah, and the FISA program I actually do favor. This is spying on foreigners in foreign lands. We do this to protect our country. Apparently, there's a great deal of value in it, and we find out a lot. But what also happens is as millions of Americans are caught up in the system, either accidentally or incidentally. All I'm asking is that we don't look at the Americans' information without a warrant. Now, if an American's talking to a terrorist, obviously they get caught up, and I have no problem with that. What I'm talking about is that the database just has millions and millions of people in it. You going and typing in Americans' names. We shouldn't be able to do that. We also shouldn't be using it for domestic crime. And I think that's a real problem. It's collected without the Constitution, which is fine for foreigners and foreign lands. But if you're not going to use the Constitution to collect the data, it shouldn't be used domestically for domestic crime or accusations of domestic crime.
So, Senator, here's a scenario. It actually really happened. You have this guy who came on chain migration, but he's here legally. He decides he loves ISIS, and he's going to run over people on a bike path on Halloween. We want to quickly find out who he spoke to. If we of course don't know who he is, but we can go back through his phone records and find out who he spoke to, were there any international conversations going. If we don't take them all in, would we be able to unwind who he spoke to?
Well, here's the thing is, we're not talking about blocking any information that is collected. So we're not saying block the information that's collected. We're just saying to search it. You know, if somebody's smoking pot in New York City, we don't want them searching a database on foreign intelligence to convict somebody of smoking pot. That's what we're talking about. We're not talking about if this terrorist, the guy that did mow down people in New York, instantaneously people are looking at his phone records, and we're all for that. And if it really probably wouldn't be part of FISA, though, because FISA is on foreign terrorists. What would happen immediately, and probably did in this case, is within 30 minutes or within minutes, somebody's calling a judge and saying, we found this guy who just killed 10 citizens, and they're looking at every bit of his phone calls within 10 minutes, probably, though, with a warrant. And warrants really are it's a step to keep checks and balances. Look, at the FBI right now, we have somebody who he and this Peter Strzok and his mistress were talking to somebody named Andy, perhaps the second in charge of the FBI, about fixing the election and keeping Donald Trump from being elected. That shows that men and women can be biased, and we need more oversight, not less oversight.
Right. And also the worry is with the Americans' names masked, if somebody unmasked it, like reportedly happened at the end of the last administration, that's very troubling. Senator, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Senate votes this week. Meanwhile, 21 minutes before the top of the hour, here's Jillian. Hey, Jillian.
That's right. Good morning, guys. We do have some breaking news, so let's get right to this Fox News alert. One woman is dead following the casino boat fire off the coast of Florida. A hospital now confirming the woman became ill hours after the emergency, but it's unclear how she died. 50 people were on the boat when it went up in flames, forcing dozens to jump ship off the coast of Port Richey. Police say the Sand Cruz casino boat experienced an unexpected engine issue. 14 other people were hurt.